The topic is kinetics of electrode reaction. In order to understand the topic, there are few fundamental concepts which must be understood, like faradic and non-faradic process. Let's consider an example. Here we have a cell in which an electrode is immersed in an electrolyte solution, and for every electron transfer at the solution and the electrolyte interface led to a generation of current into the external circuit. It means that each electrochemical process corresponds to a change in current for a given value of potential. Means if we apply a potential to the system, either we are raising the Fermi level of this electrode or we are falling down the Fermi level of this electrode with the application of positive external voltage, we can either reduce or oxidize the analyte at the surface of this electrode. So all those processes in which current due to charge transfer is produced at metal solution interface are called faradic processes. And all electrochemical processes other than heterogeneous electron transfer are also known as non-faradic processes, and current is produced due to these processes is known as non-faradic current. So there are three types of non-faradic processes. One is diffusion, second is convection, and the third one is migration. Diffusion is observed in the electrolyte is due to the concentration gradient, and different species are diffused in bulk which are undissolved can move to the solution having lower concentration of the dissolved species. So this diffusion of these undissolved species can lead to the generation of current to the external circuit. Other is convection. Convection is density gradient mass transfer. Due to the difference in the density of the different part of solution, again this density gradient density gradient or the difference in the density of the analyte into the electrolyte led to the flow of current to the higher density to lower density regions. This current is also known as non-faradic current. Third one is migration, and as faradic processes are concerned on the surface or immediate vicinity of the electrode surface, that is electrolyte surface, when potential difference is applied to the this electrode, some of the charges that are present in the solution may migrate to the surface of the electrode that led to the flow of current into the external circuit. This process is known as migration, and this migration of charges can be slowed down by using high density of the supporting electrolyte which make dipoles which are connected with each other, and these high density gradient of sporting electrolyte which is not involved into the faradic process or the interfacial charge transfer process, or they are not oxidized or reduced when an external current is applied to the system. So these sporting electrolyte can reduce the three processes. First one is Diffusion, it means that you are using the high concentration gradient of some electrolyte which is not electroactive, and that it can reduce the diffusion of the analyte, as well as convection process that is relevant to the density gradient and the migration of the charges which are not present at the vicinity of the electrode surface. From this discussion we can divide four types of electrochemical reactions which are taking place at the surface of electrode. The first one is mass transfer, which include diffusion, migration and convection, and this mass transfer must be controlled for the correct determination of the electrode kinetics. It means that these side reaction must be suppressed to make the maximum contribution of the charge transfer, which is the actual electron transfer process at the electrode surface, which involved the redox reaction for the analyte. Other reactions are coupled chemical reaction. They can be due to the impurities. The impurities can produce other redox reaction, like if you have a solution of any electrolyte, it can have impurities of different metal ions. These impurities can also involved in coupled chemical reactions. These chemical reactions should also suppress to study the electrode kinetics. And the fourth one is other unimportant chemical reactions, like chemical reaction before and after electron transfer at the interface, like crystallization, adsorption and other surface reactions. These kind of reactions are also unfavorable for the electrode kinetics. As we have discussed that other than electron transfer process, which is termed as charge transfer at the surface of electrode, there are other coupled reactions, like here we have mass transfer and charge transfer. These cannot be suppressed to finite amount. As we have discussed that we need a particular value of external potential that must be applied to the charge transfer of the analyte, means oxidation or reduction of a particular analyte require a specific amount of external potential, but experimentally this external potential is not enough to carry out the particular charge transfer at a particular voltage. So we need to apply an extra amount of voltage that is coupled to carry out other reactions, like mass transfer and also ohmic current. This extra potential is known as over potential. It means for a electrochemical reaction, if you are you are changing the voltage and measuring the current. By changing the voltage, you can see a small rise in the current with application voltage, and there is abrupt increase in the current that is due to the oxidation or redox process. That can be oxidation or reduction of the analyte at due to redox process of the analyte. An abrupt increase in current is observed. It means that all the analyte species present at the electrode surface are reduced simultaneously. So in order to carry out the reaction at the required voltage, which is important for electron transfer at the interface, but experimentally we need to apply an extra amount of voltage. This extra amount of voltage is known as over potential, which is denoted by eta, and here this point is known as half potential. The detail of this type of electrochemical kinetics will be discussed later on. So let's come to the basic understanding of the different parameters. As we have discussed that each electrochemical process corresponds to change in the current for a given value of potential applied to the surface of electrode. So this current is actually change in the change of charge per unit time, and as we know that the charge of transferred at the electrode surface equal to n and f. Here n is the number of electrons, and capital N is number of moles, and f is the Faraday constant. So current is actually the change in current with respect to time. So by putting this equation, we get this equation. And in kinetics, we know that the rate of chemical reaction is depend on the change in the number of moles with respect to time. So if we have the number of moles here defined in a form of heterogeneous rate transfer and heterogeneous current, so we get this expression in terms of number of moles per unit time. And in electrochemistry, for an electron transfer process, immediate vicinity of electrode is very important. So we have to divide the rate of change of number of moles with respect to time per unit area. So we get the modified equation that is showing the rate of change of current with respect to time, and having units in mole per second per centimeter square. And as the electron or charge transferred as the at the heterogeneous surface, means we have two types of surfaces where the rate of the reaction is directly proportional to the concentration of the analyte, and we get a constant that is the heterogeneous rate constant, or we can say that it is the standard heterogeneous rate constant. And by putting the value of rate, that is current over NFA, we get an equation that is I is equal to NFA K naught C. Here C is the concentration of analyte, A is the surface, so surface area of the electrode, K naught is a heterogeneous rate constant, and with the help of this equation we can find out the rate of reaction with different potential values. And this current is produced at the surface of electrode due to the heterogeneous electron transfer process. So experimentally